Alright, yesterday we talked about the equation of a circle. And the equation of the circle ended up being x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared is equal to r squared. Where you have your center at hk and your radius is r. But yet there's another form. There's like a standard form for the equation of a circle. And the standard form x squared plus bx plus c plus y squared plus dy plus e is equal to your let's just go f squared. Well, not even f squared, just f, because that's not even what your radius is. From here, from this equation right here, you can only tell it's a circle because the x squared and the y squareds are positive. And have a coefficient of 1. Now, this is a big pain as far as the equations go because it doesn't tell you a radius, it doesn't tell you where the center is. What we want to be able to do is we want to be able to take this guy and turn him into this guy. So we want to be able to say, all right, let's take this and make it into here. Now, the process that you're going to use is called completing the square. And the idea behind this is that when we're talking about a square, we want x minus h quantity squared. That's what this is. This is what we call a square binomial. So when we talk about completing the square, we're not talking about a square as in a geometric figure called a square. What we want to do is we want to make a square binomial. And so we need to take all the x values and use those information in order to create this. And believe it or not, it's not that hard. It's actually kind of a two-step process. Now, for example, if you had this, we're just going to kind of go through the examples. I put a 1 up there because this is page 1 of this. If you had x squared plus 16x, and then you have some unknown number here, and this unknown number, we need it to be a perfect square. So it has to be a perfect square. So we're talking about like 1, or 4, 9, 16, 25, blah, 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 blah. All the perfect squares. So you need to know that like 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, 6 squared 36, 7 squared is 49, 8 squared 64, 9 squared 81, 10 squared 100, usually up to about 15. So you got to know those numbers. Now, it's a very, very, very simple process. And I'm going to kind of go backwards a little bit first. I'm going to take just x plus a, and I'm going to square it. So I'm going to use this guy right here. X plus a, x plus a. What's x times x? X squared. What's x times a? Ax. And I have another x times a, which is ax, and then a times a is a squared. If I separate this all out, I get x squared, combine those, I have 2 ax's, and then plus a squared. Now, the important part that you really care about is this right there, the 2a. Because if you get this, this is in the form 2x, or this is in the form x squared plus 2ax plus a squared. That's what we want it to be. This is what we want. Because if we take this, which is a square binomial, this is what we end up multiplying it out to be. This is what we want it to be. Now, do we have our x squareds? All right, that's a yes. Now here, I have my x's, right? The x's are good. But I have these two things right here. From this part right here, you have 16 is equal to 2a. And I need a squared. Now, how do you solve this for a? I have 16 is equal to 2a. Let me zoom in so we could just focus on this for right now. 16 is equal to 2a. What do I do? Divide by 2. So what's a equal to? 8. I'm going to hold this for later. Now, I need a squared, which is going to be 8 squared, which is how much? What's 8 times 8? 64. So 64 is the number that's supposed to go in there in order to make it a perfect square trinomial. Now, if I wanted to take the x squared plus 16x plus 64 and make this into something squared, I get my x squared from there. So I get an x, and now all I have to do is put that 8 in there. That's all that we need to do. So it's important to be able to get this number right here from here, and it's important to get this number by here. Now, the easiest thing to do when we're going through this is worry about the x squared plus something x. Take that something, divide it by 2, and you'll get your a value. And then the a value is going to go into x plus, or x plus a, but then we also take the a and square it, and that's going to go back into the equation. So I showed you where it came from. That when you take x plus a quantity squared, it's x squared plus 2ax plus a squared. But mathematically speaking, all we have to do is take the middle number here, whatever number's on the x, divide it by 2, that's going to be your a number. So basically you're going to do two operations, divide it by 2 and square it. But depending on the type of problem that we have, where these numbers go are going to be really, really, really important. Now, really quickly, here's an example. I have y squared plus 6y plus some number. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time, like 30 seconds, because it shouldn't take you more than that, to figure out what number goes in that blank. I don't know if anybody yells it out. I'm sure there's something here that can take flight. Remember in math, it's all logic. And that's one thing that'll save you every single time if you just go into the logic, buy into the logic. And then two, follow step by step the checklist. Find the number you need to use, divide it by 2, then square it. Alright, that should be enough time. What number do we need to use? What's the only number in the quadratic equation? The number, we always look at the middle term, so we're always going to look at this guy right here. So I'm going to take 6. What am I going to do to 6? Divide by 2. What do I get? 3. That tells me right away that it's y plus 3, quantity squared. But I also have to put 3 back up in here, but I need to do it as 3 squared. What's 3 squared? 9. Alright, x squared plus 10x plus something. Give you about another 10 seconds. Alright, what's the number we use? Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes and yes and yes. I heard 10 and I heard 25, and 100 might be a bit much. Alright, where's 25 going to go? On the line. Alright, I'll agree with that. How did I get 25? 10 divided by 2, which is 5. And then 5 squared is my 25. What's my binomial? X plus 5. So far, so good? Alright. Now, let me turn the video